Controversy and scandal always seems to find EA, and this time it once again comes in the form of FIFA Ultimate Team. The EA Gate scandal has kind of escalated as EA has confirmed there was indeed a breach in some EA accounts that were used either by EA employees or some third-party entities. EA didn't confirm one way or the other. That has allowed for a black market that sells directly to players rare Ultimate Team cards for thousands of dollars. And as detailed by Eurogamer here, the icon cards are pretty valuable, priced between 750 euros to 1,000 euros, and then the even rarer cards are the prime icon moments, which were offered for 1,700 euros, and prices might vary here and there, but generally they were offered within these price ranges, as reported by numerous Twitter users as screenshots of these private conversations featuring employees selling these cards and proposing a transaction to players were unearthed. So you would see players whose teams were basically almost entirely comprised of these icon cards, which aren't just cosmetic, they do offer tangible gameplay advantages. FIFA is a pay-to-win game. And when FIFA players found out about this, well, they were pissed for a number of reasons. One, it's an unfair advantage for those who were approached with these kinds of deals, whereas others have had to shell out thousands of dollars and may not even have gotten those icon cards because of just how rare they are, because of how artificially low the probability has been set. And two, this all really exposes just how egregious the FIFA Ultimate Team business model is. The fact that there is a market for this, a market where people are willing to shell out 1,700 euros for some virtual card that expires in a year, that really goes to highlight just how low the probabilities of obtaining these cards are, just how much the cards are stacked against the players when they're opening these loot boxes, which is why they resort to black markets to get these cards without having to gamble constantly. Now, in response to all this, a few days back, EA did publish the following statement where they essentially said, "We have heard the allegations and we're conducting an investigation." Well, it would seem as though that investigation has gone somewhere. So here we have a blog post from EA detailing what their initial investigation yielded. And I'd like to read this and comment along the way, spotlight the hypocrisy behind some of the things that they're saying here. So here's what the statement reads like. An update on our player item investigation. Earlier this week, we were made aware of suspicious activity relating to highly rated content in FIFA Ultimate Team. We learned that FIFA Ultimate Team items were granted to individual accounts that did not earn them through gameplay, i.e. by opening a pack, purchasing through the transfer market, completing a reward challenge, e.g. an SBC completion, or other engagement like Twitch broadcast. It appears that one or more EA accounts which were either compromised or being used inappropriately by someone within EA directly entitled items to these individual accounts. One or more EA accounts might possibly suggest that this isn't just a one-man operation, that there are multiple people involved, but either way, the offense has been confirmed, and it is something that no doubt we'll hear more about in the coming days. The statement continues, while a full investigation is underway, we wanted to share an update on the issue, including what we have learned to date, an overview of the FIFA Ultimate Team content granting process, and the actions we're taking to tackle this serious problem. The alleged behavior is unacceptable. EA wagging their finger at a behavior and calling it unacceptable is just laughable, coming from a company like EA who have engaged in myriad unacceptable behaviors as a company and continue to do so in large part through FIFA Ultimate Team and its awful casino-like monetization system. But yeah, EA says the alleged behavior is unacceptable and in no way do we condone granting or purchasing player items in exchange for money if that money isn't going to EA. Let's get one thing straight here. The way this black market works isn't too different from how the legitimate way of obtaining player cards works. The only difference between the two is that the black market way, at least you know exactly what you're paying and exactly what you're getting from that transaction. Whereas with Ultimate Team and engaging with that mode in the legitimate way, you're putting in money and you're gambling that you'll get that reward before you spend too much money. But again, because of those low probabilities, chances are you'll probably end up spending hundreds to thousands of dollars, significantly more money than you would in that direct transaction black market. So the black market way is already pretty bad. The actual legitimate Ultimate Team way is even worse. It's way worse. So EA really has no right to say that this practice runs counter to the game's competitive integrity when FIFA Ultimate Team, especially the more recent iterations, never had competitive integrity to begin with, because players who pay will get ahead of the curve, and that's how FIFA strong-arms players. If you don't pay, you're going to be behind, you're not going to be able to compete, and your grind is going to be so slow and insufferable, and the rate at which you earn card packs so diminished that it really is two separate experiences. Paying really is the only way to get the most out of FIFA Ultimate Team. EA's statement continues, this practice is also a violation of EA's user agreement and is not something we tolerate. We do not allow the trade or sale of items outside our game for many reasons. Officially, the fact remains that there is a pretty healthy black market surrounding FIFA, and those black markets may not be officially sanctioned by EA, but the fact remains that the way EA built FIFA Ultimate Team is what has paved the road for those black markets. So it is EA's responsibility to deal with that, but they're all too happy to let things be. And among the reasons listed for why they don't allow the trade or selling of items outside their game is that it would create an unequal playing field. Are you serious right now? As if there already isn't an unequal playing field. It is EA who decided to make this a pay-to-win monetization system. It is EA who decided that rarer cards would grant players greater advantages, and because of the monetization that is involved, there is a class divide where the people who spend more, who have more money to spend, just straight up, are going to be better off. FIFA Ultimate Team was already rigged against players. It's already set up to be unfair so that they can milk the most out of your wallet. Moving on, our initial investigation shows questionable activity involving a very small number of accounts and items. I'm curious as to what the exact figure is because according to the screenshots that have surfaced showing EA employees communicating with players about black market transactions, this might have been going on not just for FIFA 21 but for years throughout past entries as well. Although it is not a large number, if these allegations prove out this activity is unacceptable, we want to thank our committed community members for bringing the issue to our attention so quickly. Next, let's be clear about what will happen now. When our investigation is completed, we will take action against any employee found to have been engaging in this activity. Any items granted through this illicit activity will be removed from the FIFA Ultimate Team ecosystem, and EA will permanently ban any player known to have acquired content through these means. So none of this surprises me one bit. This is about how you'd expect a company to react to this kind of situation, and indeed, people who did engage with the EA employees' black market knew the risks, or should have known the risks going in there, that if this is exposed, it was very likely that they were going to get banned. But EA needs to stop acting like this is all to preserve the integrity of game balance, when again, EA intentionally created this game to be unbalanced. They need to stop acting like this EA employees' black market will completely disrupt the playing field in such a way that it'll break the game when the game is already broken. Not saying that taking action against the EA employees who started this black market and plugging the black market isn't the right action, but EA needs to stop acting like they've destroyed this evil that almost ruined the game when EA themselves are the one ruining FIFA for everyone. Their statement finally concludes with, regardless of these actions, we appreciate how concerning this is to all of our players, and we apologize for the impact of these improper grants within the community. Yeah, well, while you're at it, why don't you apologize for the impact your greed has had and the harm it's done? That'd be nice for a change. We also appreciate how extremely annoying and frustrating it is that this practice might have come from within EA. Oh, it's annoying and frustrating, alright, but this is nothing new. Shady practices like this have always come from within EA. The black market situation is unique, and it is its own scandal, but let's not pretend as if FIFA Ultimate Team itself, as it is, in its legitimate form, isn't scandalous within itself. EA is about the last company that can provide a lecture on extremely annoying and frustrating practices. Moving on, we're angry too. Oh yeah, I bet you are furious that it wasn't you who exploited those customers, but rather somebody else, some third-party black market that came within your own company that actually made an even better offer than you did with your own slot machine bullshit. We know that the trust of our communities is hard-earned and is based on principles of fair play. This is like if Pablo Escobar came out and said, kids, don't do drugs. Just unreal. This illicit activity shakes that trust. Oh, believe me, trust in EA has been shaken long before this incident, long before this scandal. Last but not least, the statement says, we have also been clear since the creation of Ultimate Team that items cannot be exchanged outside of our game, and that's key to how we keep our game safe from manipulation and bad actors. This is a breach of that principle as well, and we won't let it stand. Keep our game safe from manipulation and bad actors. Hey, pot, meet Kettle. EA, the company that turned FIFA video games into casinos and are exploiting FIFA Ultimate Team loot boxes to psychologically manipulate players, are talking about keeping their game safe from manipulation. That is like a serial killer insisting that he would make a great personal bodyguard. Oh, but for the cherry on top, this is a breach of that principle. EA, talking about principle. For one to be able to breach the principles of a game like FIFA, well, the game needs to have principles to begin with. This next segment of the statement details what content granting is, which is the process by which specific in-game items are directly distributed to a specific player account, which is what the EA employees who started their own black market did in exchange for money. But on an official capacity, EA emphasizes that content granting is used in very special and specific circumstances, like if, for example, a bug causes a customer to lose a player card, or if they are giving out items to athletes, partners, and employees, basically people who they have a special relationship with, and they insist that the sum of items granted through these three scenarios combined is less than 0.0006%. So basically they're saying we have directly gifted FIFA Ultimate Team cards in the past, but the number of times we have done that is so minuscule that it doesn't affect the game balance. But in light of recent developments and circumstances, EA did say that they have officially suspended all discretionary content granting for an indefinite period. So from here on out, up until I guess this investigation concludes and they're able to secure that system better so EA employees don't exploit it, they're not going to be doing content granting at all, regardless of whether a situation fits these three criteria. And they say they've launched a rigorous investigation. It really strikes a nerve the way EA is castigating the perpetrators of this situation for things that they're doing that are basically exactly what EA is doing. They're throwing the game off balance with their monetization practices, and they're charging ludicrous amounts of money for in-game rewards that are pretty much worthless. And if they do have some value, then that value is lost within a year when the next FIFA launches. And that's also intentional. They annualize these franchises not only because they can charge you $60, $70 for the same game over and over and over again, almost like a subscription, but they also can wipe the slate clean on those microtransactions and have you spin those slot machines again. They take away the rewards you earn through those slot machines, so you have to start from scratch. And the cards are so stacked against players that black markets can thrive, because players feel as though they need to find alternative ways of earning items beyond what EA is supplying, because EA's method just sucks so much. Again, paying 1,700 euros for one of these cards is preferable to the legitimate way of doing things. How bad does a monetization system have to be for that to be the case? Pretty bad, I'd say. But yeah, this is where we're at, folks. Since I already covered this story, I figured I would update you on what's happened since. And also, I figured I would continue to call out the hypocritical statements that EA is making here, the hypocritical way in which they're wagging their fingers at others for things that they themselves do. Let me know in the comments below what your take is on all of this, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.